I mean, if we keep scoring goals in this shirt, Jimbo, there ain't going to be room for a stadium with all the trees down there, is there? Maybe it is the start of something special. And every time I've seen the kid, he just looks good. He just looks natural. He looks a Luton footballer.
Sometimes you just go, yeah, he's young, but is he good enough? Yeah, Zack Nelson's good enough.
Yeah, I'm a pretty happy Luton fan right now, Jimbo.
Whatever they paid for him, bargain, absolute bargain.
You've got to go back to the Kevin Nichols days, really, for the last time a midfielder breaks up play to that extent. For if it could be written in the stars, it absolutely was. Where we did get it wrong as a trust board, and we have got it wrong, right? It was Burton Albion who went for a Burton on Saturday afternoon when a tree-mendous Town performance saw us come away with a 3-0 victory at the Pirelli Stadium. And alongside me to look back on a wonderful afternoon of football is the Lutonian journalist James Cunliffe. Jimbo, you ready to branch out into some positivity, mate?
Well, not if you carry on with those puns.
There's plenty more of them where that came from, and they'll come out right after this intro. Hello everyone, welcome along to another episode of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast, the award-winning, longest-running Luton Town podcast, having scooped bronze in the Best Football League podcast category in the Football Content Awards. As ever, the show is in association with Solid, providing opportunities, provisions and assistance so our academy can fulfil their potential. And how very apt was that after yesterday? As I said before the intro, we are going to look back on Burton 0, Luton 3, just to cut out the puns for you, Jimbo. And
I like them really, to be honest. I'll just play it out.
Well, that's fair enough.
Pun me all day long.
I'm going to say I'm glad that you like it, Jimbo, because I've got plenty more lined up where that came from over the next hour or so. Just quick reflections. It was a nice afternoon yesterday, wasn't it? It was. Well, I take the weather out of the equation because that was a bit dodgy, but it's nice to stand as it turned out, and watch Luton entertain and come away and just be thoroughly happy with what you saw.
Well, that's what people want, isn't it? I mean, we've had victories already, but they want performances to go with it. I mean, it's probably worth saying that Burton ain't any great shake, but you can only beat what's in front of you, isn't it? So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we called for, not necessarily the formation and everything, but yeah, to be at them from the off gave indications that would be the case, that lessons would have been learned, and they seem to have been.
Yeah, you're right. Let's caveat it. Listen, are Burton the hardest test we're going to have this season? Quite frankly, no, they're not. They're not. But neither Jimbo and myself are going to sit here and call for some entertainment and some excitement and then moan about it when we get it. So, we're fully aware that there are bigger tests to come down the line. But as has been the case over the last 6 to 9 months, whenever we get a win, we're going to rejoice in it. And yeah, quite happy with it. Before we go on to the game, Jimbo, it's been quite a week for news as well, hasn't it? We've had news that Chong's left the building on Friday afternoon. He's disappeared to Sheffield United. Plenty of rumours doing the rounds of what the fee could be. Seen it as low as 2.5 million. I've seen it as high as 4 million. Who knows? It was undisclosed, and that's fine because obviously I presume we're going to invest some of it over the next 48 hours, and let's not give the game away for how much that we've got, but. It just didn't work out, did it? He gave me one of my greatest footballing moments with that winner against Liverpool. And then, as I said to someone else somewhere on another chat, basically spent the next 18 months falling to the floor.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really argue with the stats, does it? I think it's one assist in 2 seasons, not really what you want from a creative midfielder. I mean, that goal against Liverpool was fantastic. Just finished it off though, wasn't it? It's all about Barkley and Kabore, that one. So, but I mean, I don't want to take anything away from him. He had the desire to get that, but yeah, it really hasn't worked out for him, because when we got him, we thought if we get the bloke that destroyed us in a Birmingham kit, what a player we're going to get. But I think that's probably an apt assessment, that he spends a lot of time rolling around on the ground. I would like to look at perhaps how many free kicks he won. in vital areas, because when we were in the Premier League, playing for those sorts of areas for Doughty to whip in free kicks was quite useful. But ultimately, overall, it wasn't a good signing.
No, and you'd have to balance that out with the amount of free kicks he didn't get that led to chances on our goal in the same season. I can think of Brentford away in particular. They ended up scoring from one. And yeah, unfortunately for Luton fans, still the best game that we've seen Heath Chong have was in a Birmingham shirt at Kenilworth Road. And that's how it's always going to be now, isn't it? Straight into the Sheffield United bench on Saturday, came off the bench against a certain Rob Edwards. Don't think he played left wing back, but you never know. Didn't watch that game. And then in the lead up to kick-off, we also got news that Shandon Baptiste has knackered his ACL. And, well, we know from Eli's injury that that's a long recovery. And from a guy whose body isn't particularly robust anyway, you do kind of fear the worst there.
Yeah, you've got, on a human level, you've got to say it's really disappointing for the bloke. He's not intentionally getting injured. Of course he will. He's going to intentionally have an anterior cruciate ligament injury, but that's his second he's had in his career now. And, you know, if people were jokingly saying like he's made a poppadoms before, then it's really unfortunate for him. But it's hard to see where his career could go after this, because I think he's got an extra year on Luton, but after that, I mean, he presumably wouldn't get an extension unless he comes back somehow and defies previous recoveries and periods in the game. He's just an incredibly injury-prone player. It's like, see, on that level, you've got to feel sorry for him that, you know, where does his career go after? Because he's clearly a very talented footballer. When he plays, he just doesn't play enough, and now he's going to have a 5-game season, really, isn't he? So we won't see him again this season. And yeah, it's disappointing for him, but on the other hand, it opens up. Well, I guess we're going to talk about it at some point during this. It's going to open up a place for Nelson, not necessarily that formation because he replaced Walsh, didn't he? But there's a spot. He moves up the pecking order of midfielders, doesn't he? And then there's a transfer window that at least he did it on Wednesday, as we led to believe, and they're going to have, you know, 4 or 5 days to find a replacement, because I think that's vital now. I don't think you can not try and replace him.
Yeah, I don't know if you replace him, but certainly Heath Chong would need to be replaced. He's actually left the building, hasn't he? Yeah, you would imagine someone will come in and we'll do all the transfer rumours. There's plenty of them that have done the rounds in the last week. We'll do that towards the end of the show. We'll get on with the game. And yeah, top level sport is a next man up thing, isn't it? And, you know, when one man goes down, another man gets his chance to shine. And Zack Nelson came into the side, one of 3 changes on Saturday, Jimbo. Matt got a bit ruthless as well, didn't he? Dropped his captain. I mentioned in the last podcast that you can question his form. It hadn't been great. Cal Naismith, and then lo and behold, he's gone. Jettisoned from the team to the bench. Nigel Longwake just switched across and played left centre-back. And obviously Jerry Yates came into the side from the start. And I always forget who the other changes. Kadua came into the side from the start as well. And there was a change in formation. It was still a back 3 or back 5. There were initial hopes on social media that I saw that it was a back 4, but then I think people quickly worked out, well, actually, who would play left back if this is a back 4, because Cohen Bramall was still on the bench getting his minutes up from that position. Yeah, but the midfield 3, and it was a midfield 3 this time, was where we've changed. So we've still got our back 3, Longwake left centre-back, Mark McGuinness, who is Mark McGuinness again, in the middle, and Chris Makosso minus his hair on the right-hand side of that back 3. Don't know what happened there, because he definitely had his hair when he was parading the kit, so not sure what's happened to that one. Kadir come up on the right wing back, Millie Ali again on left wing back, and then we have a midfield now, or we did on Saturday, of a 6 and 2 8s. It's been 2 pivots, hasn't it, with 1 in front. We switched it round. George Saville was the 6, and the 2 8s, Clark and Zack Nelson, and then Lasse Nordas and Jerry Yates up front. And Jerry Yates had an immediate impact in the game, because the one thing that I wanted to see was a Town side that had fight, that had desire, that was up for it. And he closed the goalkeeper down within 5 seconds. And from that moment then, Town fans thought, yep, we're up for it today. Burton probably thought, oh Christ, this is going to be a long afternoon. And that's exactly how it proved.
And that's what you've got to do, really. From the reaction from the previous game had to be immediate. I think you have to try and work that angle, particularly to try and get fans on side, because it was been a tough week, really, hasn't it, on all fronts. And then that's exactly what didn't really happen in the previous game. It was a bit slow, and it often has been this season. So to do that, I think, sets the tone, doesn't it, really? And in English football, we always like get into them early. These sorts of old-fashioned cliches, make them know you're there, big old tackle, that sort of thing. Which I don't necessarily. I think it's more Sunday pub football, but those things are there to set the tone of a football match, aren't they? And Yates chasing him down, chasing the keeper down, did that. And who knows? I don't know anything about the keeper, but he didn't have a particularly great game, so maybe that put him off a bit.
Yeah, I was just sat here thinking then, I wonder what impact that had on the goalie, because for the first 45 minutes, I mean, he made Stuart Moore look good, didn't he? And that takes some doing, to be fair. And then from there, we kind of dominated the play, really. It was always a case of when were we going to go ahead, because the one thing Burton didn't do, and if any side in this league doesn't do this, they're going to be in trouble. The one thing they didn't do was force Kadir and Millie Ali to be on the edge of our box. They kind of played defensively, and I don't know whether Matt told them or whether they worked it out themselves, but the two of them stayed in their half of the pitch, and when them two are in their half of the pitch, we are in absolute clover, because all of a sudden then you kind of got a back 3-1-4-2 as a formation, as opposed to, people were calling it 5 and then whatever in front of it. And Millie Ali was fantastic over the course of the afternoon. Kadir was excellent. It produced so much space for Zack Nelson, who was unbelievably good, particularly in the first half, rounded off with a goal, involved in both of the goals in the first half. He was just phenomenal. And it created space for Nordas and Jerry Yates to do their thing as well. And it was just absolutely perfect. And when the first goal came, it was fully deserved. Okay, the goalkeeper's chucked it in. But that pass from, first of all, the tackle from Saville, that's exactly what the 6 is there to do. Stop the counter-attack, get a tackle in, fell to Zack Nelson. Sometimes this season, I've been critical that we've not played the forward pass. And I've mentioned before, the experienced players are playing safety first and the youngsters are playing with a bit of risk and a bit of freedom. That pass from Nelson was beautiful. The first touch of Nordas was perfect. He got it out of his feet. He hit it. It wasn't the most venomous shot he's ever going to hit in his life, but it was tight to the goalkeeper. He didn't get down. It squirmed under him. And I think everyone was relieved for him, wasn't he? Players on the pitch were relieved for him. You could see in his celebration that he was relieved, and Town fans were relieved. And, well, that's the first tree down in Power Court.
He needed that. And I think he's been building towards it. I said in the previous podcast, or one before that, that I was, prepared to give him some time because it's shown signs of improvement from what we've seen last season. And they've got to go in somehow. And whenever you're talking about a striker trying to break his duck, that's another cliche, isn't it? He just needs one to go in off his arse or something. Well, you could just have the Burton goalkeeper flat one in, albeit he's pinged it through the number 2's legs, so maybe that acted as a bit of a shield somehow. But it was coming, and I am relieved for him. I am relieved for Nordas. I think that we saw in pre-season he can finish, and it's the other aspects of his game, I guess, he's got to build up, and his fitness and power and robustness, all those English things. But he's getting a fair crack at it now. He's getting a decent run, and that's probably where the benefits are. Because if you're just coming on as a 5-minute cameo sub, then unless you're Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, this one for the kids, it's a super sub. What impact can you really have?
Yeah, Solskjaer the player, not the manager. You're right. I think he is up to speed with the rest of his game. It was just that goal that was lacking. And actually, that goal was important, Jimbo, because time was stopping in that first half. I mean, the number 9. I mean, Christ alive! I thought I was still going to be there now. The game was not going anywhere. Every single time someone touched him, he fell to the floor. Okay, I think he was injured. He went down the tunnel, so I'm presuming he had some sort of blood injury or somewhere along the line. But there was one where the referee was standing over him for a good 6 minutes, just letting things carry on. I mean, we must have made an assessment of what's wrong with him in 6 minutes. Either can he get off the pitch himself, and if so, off your pop son and get your treatment on the sideline, or if you can't, get a stretcher on, get him over to the side of the pitch and get his treatment there. We can't have a game stopping for 6 minutes when it's pedaling down the rain as well. And that's where you get injuries when you get all these stops and starts. And that was only going to continue. So when we scored, that was a relief. That nipped that in the bud. There was only 2 or 3 more circumstances where players went to the floor and stayed to the floor. But you kind of got the feeling the longer that was 0-0, the longer those passages of play were going to be. We couldn't get no rhythm at all. They didn't really want a rhythm. Of course, they're not going to take us on in a game of football, are they? That was footballing suicide if they did that. So that goal was important for Nordas, but it was important for the team on the overall rhythm of the play.
Yeah, exactly that. I think that a lot of teams, and we saw it with Wimbledon in the first game, surprisingly so, I thought that they would come out and attack more, given that they'd come up and they were buoyed by the promotion. But I think a lot of teams, the way to get at Luton, or the blueprint of it so far this season, hopefully that's going to change with new personnel and this team gelling as we are being told they are, or continuing to. It's just the thing to do if your opposition team is just try and frustrate them, isn't it? Just try and stifle them. And, the longer that a 0-0 scoreline went on, that might have happened. So it's vital that you go and get the early goal. It was early enough, really, wasn't it? Was it 18 minutes, something like that? So that's good. And shooting from those distances as well is good, because sometimes we've tried to work it too much, tried to get it out wide, or the ball's not gone in the box, or the final ball's been terrible. And I think it's worth it. I mean, as we saw for the other goal as well, for Miliali's goal, have a pop. Who knows?
Yeah, 18 minutes, realistically 10 minutes of actual playing time on the clock. That's how long it was stopping in that first 15 minutes or so. Weren't many scares on the afternoon, but every single time they had a set piece, the number 2 kept on getting free at the back stick, and he nearly equalised, didn't he? He got round the back from a very deep cross. Thankfully, the angle was too tight, and also thankfully he got greedy and went for goal, because if he'd headed it across goal, he had a mate who was absolutely unmarked at what would have been the back post from there. But Keeley got in the way. Simple save for someone of his class.
Clean sheets all the way, isn't it, for Josh Keeley? He's gonna be a hell of a buy, really. He might even be the best buy. We'll probably have to assess that the next podcast when we assess the transfer window. But whatever they paid for him, and we're led to believe it's 7 figures, I think, isn't it? Bargain, absolute bargain. You need a goalkeeper who's going to get you out of a few, scrapes, and he's done that there. And obviously they had a chance, didn't they, from the corner, and thankfully the ref's whistle went on that one. So bit of luck, need a bit of that.
And we did get a bit of luck there, because if that's the other way round, I'm absolutely screwing at the referee, because that's just 2 players going for the ball and one wanting it more, isn't it? That's how I saw it. I mean, I was the other side of the goal to it, so I was looking through bodies and things, but I have to say I didn't see a foul. When I heard the whistle blow, I was like, thank you, ref, happy days.
Yeah, well, and sometimes you don't get those, do you? And when your luck's out, you don't get those. I mean, we've been debating about performances already so far this season. That's justified because, where we've been the last 2 years. But ultimately, you've got win games. Yeah, we've lost 2 of them, but we've won 4 of them. But in the last 2 seasons, where has the luck been, really? And it's not been there a lot of the time. So that's a good sign to see that kind of turn.
Yeah, no, like I say, if that was a Luton player attacking that ball, I'd be absolutely miffed at the referee. Jerry Yates must be wondering how he didn't make it 2-0, though.
I was wondering how Jerry Yates didn't make it 2-0, to be honest.
Well, it was at the other end to us, and the rain was coming down at that point, and I was kind of peering through it, and maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought it was at the time, because obviously, you don't get the benefit of replays in football grounds these days. I've seen a replay since then, and It is as bad as it looked the first time around, isn't it? Brilliant work from Pirelli. He's got the ball across. Keeper's totally out of the game. He's just got to tap it in, and obviously he's took his eye off it. I presume he's took his eye off of it. I don't think he'll have actually aimed it there, would he? Took his eye off it and put it, a foot wide of the post rather than a foot inside the post. But that was literally the only thing lacking on the day, wasn't it? Jerry Yates scoring. Not going to hate on him. His performance was really, really good. I'll come on to something that he did in the second half in particular that caught the eye. But, he's in the Lasse Nordos situation now. The game's there. Just wants the goal to put the cherry on top of the icing.
Yeah, I think I know what you're going to say on that moment. A lot of his movement was really good. It was then. And you're just hoping he gets a goal. But listen, we went into the game where none of the strikers and none of their attackers had scored a goal, and now two of them have. And if you want to say Zack as well, because he's a more forward-facing midfield player, then that's three of them. So he's the last. We need him to get a goal, but you can see that there's something there, and we knew that anyway. We've seen him operate in this division before, particularly at Blackpool, and he was pretty good for Derby when we played him. So yeah, he just needs something like the Burton keeper to chuck one in for him, doesn't he? Because he's going to have to get him on target though to do that, isn't he? If he wants a goalkeeper to help him out, but I think it will come. It looks like the fitness is getting there, and the movement anyway. Yeah, that's pretty good, and that's going to open up a lot of spaces, and it will give the wingers lots to aim at, and it will give Clark and Nelson, if they're the two more forward-facing midfielders, it's going to give them a lot of options. So I think there's a lot to be said about his performance, just not that moment.
No, indeed. It was his movement that got him there, so credit to him for that. He's not, well, I hope he does get an easier chance this season. I can't see how he can, but the good thing about that missed chance was it didn't come back to haunt us. I was starting to wonder if it was going to be our day, though, because Zack's hit a peach of a 20, 25-yard shot. It's cannoned the inside of the post, identical to Nordas' shot against Wigan that cannoned the inside of the post and came out. And you're thinking, okay, we're 1-0 up, but again, we're not taking our chances, and let's hope there's not a sucker punch coming, but no need to really worry. I mean, from open play, Burton created the square root of diddly squat, which was nothing. And, we got our reward, didn't we? What was it, 5 or so minutes before half-time? Once again, Nelson's involved. Lovely move into the box. In fact, there's some nice interplay to get him into the box. He has a shot. I think it was a shot. Again, this is to the other end from where I was standing. Our flappy hands goalkeeper has pushed it right. Well, to be fair to him, he's pushed it to the edge of the penalty box. The problem for him is he's pushed it right into the path of Pirelli, who, well, as I said, he wasn't playing in our half, he was playing in their half. And he just runs onto it lovely, belts it through someone's legs, I think, into the corner, and then we get the celebration that we've become used to, certainly away from home. Geezer only scores away from home, and that's absolutely fine. Rifled it in, and from there, from 2-0, even though there was a whole second half to come, you knew we weren't losing that game because the threat wasn't there from the opposition.
Well, yeah, and the moment that he scored as well on the stroke of half-time, that's a killer, isn't it? Particularly when you've played so well, up comfortably the best half of the season. Hell of a hit. I mean, that is one hell of a ping that he's kept really quite low, and if he can do that many more times, we've seen it in his locker, he's got explosive boots, doesn't he? He can do that, but that capped off a really good afternoon for him. I know we're only talking about the first half here, but that thing about having width and allowing those middle players some space, that's what we need, and that's what you want to see, which is why them playing further back and defending all the time, Ali and Kadea, it's not going to benefit Luton. But as you say, if they're playing out wide, further forward, more in the opposition's half, spreads the pitch and gives Luton's midfield some room to operate, which is what happened. He was great. Kadea was pretty good. In the middle of the park, wonderful. One striker scored, another striker should have. Good afternoon. And it's all of that, just a little bit of tweaking, because it's still ostensibly the same formation, but more of an attacking verve to it, and that's what we want to see.
More of an attacking intent. Yeah, I mean, the Pirelli thing was kind of shown in the course of that first half, really. When Yates blocked the goalkeeper, he had to sit on the ball for 10 seconds because Pirelli was so deep and couldn't get up alongside him, and I think they ended up between them running down a dead end. Whereas later in the half, Yates was able to win the ball and give it to Miliali because Miliali's pushed up alongside him, and that's kind of what we was alluding to in the last formation, why we want someone behind Ali so that he doesn't have to keep dropping back. Hey, that's for another day. We'll rejoice in the victory from there. They were always going to make changes at half-time, Burton. I think it made 2 of them. Didn't make a blind bit of difference. In fact, if anything, the Town were even more dominant in the second half than they were in the first half. Obviously, Burton at least had to come out as, I think they put a second man up top. He was kind of anonymous anyway. And it continued to be the Zack Nelson show, didn't it? I mean, when this guy's got the ball, he goes with it. He runs with it. I mean, the difference between Zack Nelson and Liam Walsh, who will be another candidate to play that 8 role, Zack gets about a pitch so easily. So he just glides across the pitch. He's got that natural athleticism. He's got good first touch. As I said earlier in the podcast, his first instinct is to go forward, and if he hasn't got that option on, then he'll go backwards. And I like that about any Luton player, whether he's an academy product or not. And when he's in key areas of the pitch, i.e. the final third, generally he makes an impression. He'll either get his shot away, or he'll play an incisive pass, or he'll go past a man that opens it up for someone else. And he was doing that throughout the game, and that's what led to the first 2 goals. And then the third goal is just a lovely counter-attack, really, isn't it? Clark wins the ball, sends Nordas off down that left-hand wing. To be fair to him, he's out-muscled a defender. You kind of stood there, you're watching, because you can see Nelson's trying to get up from a little bit deeper, but Jerry Yates has got the 2 centre-halves on toast. He goes near post, he comes far post, they both follow him, and it opens up a chasm of a gap for Zack Nelson. Nordos obviously sees Nelson. That might be the benefit of the funky green shirt, and slides him through. To be fair to Nelson, he still has to go past the defender. He does go past the defender, rifles it through the keeper's legs, and if the game weren't done there before, it certainly was then.
Really composed finish, and an excellent capping of a well played game, and a good afternoon for him, because you've got to take your chances, and he hasn't necessarily had them so far. He's been able to make do with off the bench, and I guess we're not quite sure where his best position is yet, although I think we assume we know where it is, but we haven't really seen it because he's been utilised here, there and everywhere. Yeah, I'm delighted for him, really, because at the beginning of the season, I was lucky enough to go down to the training ground, and Bloomfield was saying this is going to be a really big year for Zack, and I thought that anyway before he even said it, so it's nice to have that confirmation bias, isn't it? And then when he wasn't getting the minutes on the pitch so much, I was like, well, is it? And sometimes it takes this. I mean, you made a very good point, and so I'm only stealing your point that JJ got in this very division after Dan Potts got injured, and then never looked back. And now look at him; he's just been flogged to Leeds for 10 million quid. So hopefully that's a long way off for Nelson, and he can make waves in a Hatter's shirt, because everybody wants to see him do well, I think. And yeah, he just took that opportunity so well to not only get the goal, this is his first league goal, but to really run the midfield. For a 20-year-old kid, that's pretty good going. I know you made the comparison there to Liam Walsh. Well, Liam Walsh is more of a quarterback, isn't he? He'll ping balls all over the place. And Zack can do that to a certain extent, but he will run more with the ball, and he'll be more a physical presence rather than a classy ball here or there. Again, I'm sure he can do it, but just in the comparison to Walsh. And I think that will really, really suit this team and this division. And I think that, and I hope they just play him and trust him now, because he can do it. He's not a boy anymore. He's 20 years old now. So now's the time.
Yeah, I agree. In League One, this kid's got all the attributes to be something special, and probably at levels above that. I mean, he's been playing for England age groups for the last 2 seasons. You don't get, doesn't matter how old you are, you don't get into them age groups if you haven't got any technical ability about you. He's got plenty of technical ability. What I liked about it, the pass for the Nordos goal, right-footed. The shot that ended up coming out to Miliali, right-footed. His goal, left-footed. 2-footed Two-footed guy, gets about the pitch, really good passer of the ball, keeps it simple, he's not one of these that wants to do it all himself, more than happy to bring others into play, supports the play, can get back when we're under a little bit of pressure. Obviously, it helps having George Saville behind him. You know, you don't have to go too deep when he's behind you. I mean, you know, he sweeps up like... You've got to go back to the Kevin Nichols days, really, for the last time a midfielder breaks up play to that extent. Kevin Nichols, Keith Keane, you're talking JPT winning sort of midfield days for the last time we had something like that. Of course, we've had the class acts like of Ross Barkley and Andrew Shinnie since then, but you still need that nasty bugger isn't really the right term, but the one who does the ugly side of the game to allow the flourish.
I think that's fine for George. I mean, he's going to pick up quite a lot of yellow cards, but yeah, what he does is the gritty stuff and the nasty stuff. I think it's probably, I had never really made that comparison to Nico. I think I'm not making it like these, like the carbon copy, so all your Nico fans out there don't bite my head off, but I think he's in more of that mould than he would be. Of course, he wouldn't be Barkley, and certainly not Shinnie and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a good chat, that one.
I mean, Alan McCormack would be another one, just thinking about it as well, wouldn't he? And every team needs that. Every successful team needs that. But we need it because if Clark and Nelson are going to do their thing at the top end of the pitch and create space and create passing lanes for the strikers to run into, then they're going to have the freedom of knowing that they've got someone who can do the job behind them. And you know, Saville's just a no-nonsense guy, isn't he? He'll take all the corners, happy days. And if the ball comes out to him 30 yards from goal and there's a shot on, he'll ping it. But he's not, you know, you kind of get the impression that he ain't bothered about scoring 10 goals this season. As long as Town win, he's more than happy to get his foot stuck in. And that's exactly what we brought him for. That's what the spine of the side was for. And at 3-0, we can kind of, well, we enjoyed the day out. Should I say 3-0, not 3-0? 3-0, of course. And, yeah, do you know what? It was a great away end, Jimbo. I mean, obviously there was a lot of mickey taking about the trees and everything else. Every chant involved a tree of some kind, and not mickey taking, but you know, making fun of ourselves or whatever the word is that I'm looking for.
I think fans are just leaning into it, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
it's just Luton banter, isn't it? Really, and it's just it was good, and you know, it didn't just fizzle out, which I liked, because you know there were more goals there for us, which was a kind of unfortunate that we didn't get them. But
I don't think it's unfortunate that we didn't get them, because I was
well,
thinking,
you're all over the tree.
I tried to pretend that I didn't like puns at the beginning of this, but I think I mean, this is an apt scoreline for this kit this week, and this, you know, make it so, and the universe did it. We've not had one of those for a while.
No, if it could be written in the stars, it absolutely was. Yeah, Nicky Wells nearly scored, didn't he? Rifled a shot away from the corner of the penalty box. The keeper tipped over. I thought it might have been going over anyway, but it doesn't really matter. It got tipped over. And there was still some really good interplay, really good passing, even though we made lots of changes. Cal Naismith came on at one point in the game. Cohen Bramwell came on in the last couple of minutes to shut it down and things like that. We used the bench. We still left the two youngsters, Christian Chigosi and Jake Richards, on the bench, but the sort of experienced players on the bench all came on. They all got minutes. It's just a really positive afternoon, Jimbo. It was like I said right at the start. It was really, really nice to, first of all, stand. I always prefer standing at a football ground than I do sitting. Stand there and watch a Luton team entertain us, and yet, we'll reiterate it. They're not very good, Burton. They're not going to be promotion challengers, Burton. In fact, there's a strong chance that they're going to be in a relegation battle. But it's been a long time since we've enjoyed a Luton performance from start to finish. And regardless of the opposition, you know, it was same old Luton taking their you-know-what. And it's good to see that this team's got that about it. And also good to see that it's got the quality as well. But it was sustained quality. This season we've had 15 minutes of bursts of quality. This was 90 minutes.
Yeah, well, I thought that Burton might be the ideal opportunity to try and kickstart some confidence in the playing style. I mean, we've had some results, that's fine, but in the playing style, you obviously got to bounce back from the Cardiff one. And I thought that might be the case. You still got to go out there and do it, and it could have gone the other way where they really frustrated Luton. But I think for the reasons of those little tweaks to the formation or the intent of the formation, puts you on the right footing for a more positive afternoon. And I think if they show those attacking instincts and they show some dominance but also some quality, then you lot will get behind them in the terraces, and that helps. And that's probably the way it's got to go for a while. And I said, one win's not going to just do it. You're going to need a sustained period. And I think I said 10. But hey, why not? Why not dream? 10 games of largely useful performances and mostly good results. I mean, 10 wins in a row would be unbelievable where we've been for the last 2 years, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. But I thought the Burton could be the team that could kickstart that. Now you've got to take it on and run with it. But you can only beat the team in front of you. You beat them convincingly, you beat them well, and everyone's happy. And that's why there was that banter and the jokes in the crowd, which is, it's nice to see, because that's what for 10 years we've had, and it's what we missed so very desperately in recent seasons.
Yeah, it was also, you look at it and you kind of think a man of the match, and particularly when I'm doing the instant reaction, who am I going to sort of focus on? Because, during the game, I'm not taking notes. There's no point in me taking notes. It's filmed on my phone. I wouldn't have them in front of me anyway. But, you're watching it and you're like, well, this one's a little bit harder than normal to pick out. I mean, it wasn't. Zach Nelson just ran the show, but you could easily have given it to George Saville. You could easily have given it to Millie Ali, who just had that right wing back on toast. You could easily have given it to Nordas, who's all-round play in that second half. That was a massive run that he went on for that third goal, and he picked the right ball at the end of it. He could have had a shot from a tight angle, probably would have been blocked. He could have tried to find Yates. Maybe that wouldn't have worked, but he didn't. He kept it simple. He played the right pass, and that was good. And you could have given it to Yates himself. I know he didn't score and he missed a sitter, but the rest of his game was absolutely spot on. And you could have given it to the Burton goalkeeper, who probably provided our strikers with the best ammunition they've had all season so far. But, ultimately it was Nelson, because at the start of the day, once you've heard the Baptiste news, you're kind of like, who's going to fill his boots? You mentioned it. We probably thought it was Liam Walsh. But maybe it is the start of something special, and I really hope it is, because every time I've seen the kid, he just looks good. He just looks natural. He looks a Luton footballer, and we've seen him this season at Coventry. We've seen him come on against Wigan, play the deeper role. He had to play right wing back in one of the games, didn't he, because of injuries? And I think that was Wigan, wasn't it, when Kadir went down with cramp? And you're like, yeah, he's okay there, but he's got so much more to offer going forward. In fact, there's an awful lot of players in this team that have got that. But it's just good to see it come out, and it's just so good. One of the things I love as a sports fan, not as a Luton fan, whatever sport it is, I love watching a youngster express themselves and have that no fear. I mean, I watched the Liverpool Arsenal game earlier, and it was the same for them. One brings a 15-year-old on, one brings a 16-year-old on, and they're both going at their defenders. It's just good to see, and we've got one, and let's make the most of it, because that academy's thriving. It's producing some really, really good players. They're going out on loan to get their experience. Zack's done that, of course, and now it's time for him to thrive. And the only annoying thing from yesterday, Jimbo, we've got to wait 2 weeks to see this team again. And I did kind of hint it in the preview podcast. It would be ironic if we win and win easy, and we've got to wait 2 weeks. That's fine. We're going to have new players in, we think. 2 more weeks on the training ground to get everything up to speed and sort out where we are, and hopefully sort out that Ali and Kadir never have to go the wrong side of the halfway line ever again. But yeah, I'm a pretty happy Luton fan right now, Jimbo.
Yeah, that's what results do, doesn't it? And performances. But yeah, on the Nelson stuff, I think that we gave respect to the Cardiff team, didn't we? That have really gone back to basics and decided they're going to give chances to their academy products and graduates, and they had quite a lot of them in the squad when they came to Luton last week, and look what they've done. I mean, they went and won 4-0 yesterday, didn't they, against Plymouth? So it shows that they're really in a confident place at the moment. And for the same thing with Nelson, really, it's that no fear attitude. Why should he have any? He's an England youth international. He's played in the Premier League briefly. He's played in the Championship. This is ideal for him. It's all set up here for him. He should be able to take this division and do something useful in it, and hopefully get Luton to where we want to be. And then I've no doubt he could probably kick on as well. So it's really nice to see that he's taken his chance. It's disappointing on the front that one person has to miss out, and it's a miserable time for Baptiste. But that's always the case with youngsters. It's either something really badly has gone wrong and there's a big shake up in the personnel that's used, or somebody gets an injury and then you come in and you've got to take your chance. And he has, and it's lovely to see. It really is. And I hope that he is the first name on the team sheet now. None of this, he's a young boy and blah, 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 which we have heard before. We've heard it about Mukoso, but he's always playing now, isn't he, Mukoso? Sometimes you just go, yeah, he's young, but is he good enough? Yeah, Zack Nelson's good enough.
Exactly that. He's a member of the first team squad now. He's not an academy product. He's a member of the first team squad. And based on Saturday, he's fully deserving of a run in the side. And, obviously we've got to keep him fit. England haven't called him up, so that's good. And he can, do the training and everything else over the next couple of weeks. And that midfield three is the way it was set up. That's perfect. Whatever formation we play now.
But it's also perfect for Clark, isn't it? Because Clark in a low-lying midfield position, no thank you. Put him further forward where he can, run at people, and he did for the third goal. I know it's way out, on the halfway line, on the line, but it's a good bit of skill to get that move going and then hands it on to Nordas. If you give Jordan Clark the space as well, he'll be better for it. That surely was what the point of signing Saville was. Let him do that tough stuff, hand it off to a player that can do something better with it. Hey, this is what happened when Marvellous Nakamba came to the club. All he did was take it off people and hand it to somebody 5 yards away, but he was brilliant at that. I mean, that could be the solution this time around.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we said it, didn't we? If we didn't say it during the Cardiff review, we certainly said it in the Wigan review. More attacking players than defensive players will equal a much more progressive Luton team, which will equal a much more winning Luton team. And you don't need as many defensive players in this league as you did in the Premier League and the Championship. You just don't. Otherwise, these teams wouldn't be in League One. They'd be in the Championship and the Premier League. Go and attack the games. You attack the games, you look good. The players thrive. They're expressing themselves. That's the happiest I've seen a Luton team look all season. And of course, they're happy. They won a game of football and they were winning it from start to finish. But icing on the cake was the clean sheet, wasn't it? And Josh Kearley made you usually call these saves for the cameras, don't you? There weren't no cameras there, but it was a good save in injury time from Larson, I think the geezer's name was. Good hit, to be fair to him. Tried his luck for a consolation. I was standing with someone who watches this podcast and I didn't get his name, and that's absolutely shocking of me. But he put 3-1 in as the score prediction, so I think he was secretly.
So he was begging for that to go
I think
in.
he was secretly hoping that there was a consolation, and then someone behind me also had 3-1 as well. But sorry, lads, but Kearley ain't conceding too many goals in this league. Best defensive record in the league now, Luton. No one's conceded fewer goals than our 3 over the 6 games. Work in progress going forward, of course, but good teams are built from the back, stability at the back, and a shot stopper, and my word, we've got one.
Yeah, well, work in progress means nothing unless you've got a solid foundation. That has to be the focus, or had to be the focus to stop the goals. I mean, the amount of goals that we've conceded over the last 2 seasons has been, eye-watering, isn't it? So stop the rot there, make that solid. You can then afford to be a work in progress going forward in other attacking areas. And we are still. But you're winning games at the same time. Now attacking players have got their first goal. That weight off their shoulders, that's okay. Performance as well, if you're talking Yates, but also Nordas. Good, strike pairing partnership performance.
And I'm glad you said that, because obviously I referenced it, Nordas and Wells against Cardiff, and I said, how's your luck, Jerry, because you've been waiting for a partner since you arrived, and when when there was a partner there, you got benched. They were brilliant together yesterday. When one went, the other kind of dropped. Yates was never too far from Nordas. We know that he's not necessarily the most natural at flicking the ball on. You kind of think, you look at him and think he's 6 foot whatever he is, 6'4" or whatever he is, he's going to be able to flick the ball on. It's not. He's more of the Peter Crouch, isn't he? Better with his feet than his head.
Yes.
But Yates is learning where to be around him, and when Nordas did flick the ball on, generally it was where Yates could do something with it, whether it was to his feet or he could lead the press to the defender that it had gone to, and we win the ball high up. I didn't check the amount of times we won the ball in the final third yesterday, but it was the highest of the season. We did it relentlessly. He did it. Nordas did it. Zack did it. Jordan Clark did it. 2 wing backs did it. And we sit here, don't we? And I always say, I just want to see improvement from the game before. Well, you look at those two, there was clear improvement from the game before. And then you look on the subs bench and you're like, Nicky Wells is on this subs bench. That's quality.
Well, yeah, when you've got those options to come off, because we didn't really have him last season, did we? And you're looking who's going to come on to change the game here. And as it turned out, no one. Well, until Miliali turned up and started, playing really well at the back end of the season. But yeah, that is a real positive. I mean, if you've got a man of Wells's talents and he's still got a bit of pace as well, but he can't necessarily get in the first team, the starting lineup, then that bodes well. And obviously, we're probably looking at wanting another striker as well. Between us talking now and tomorrow night, if you're watching this, or tonight, if you're watching this on Monday. And I think that is needed. You do need that, particularly as they try and morph into the Matt Bloomfield formation that he ultimately wants, even though we haven't got so far of that 3-4-3 and having the interchangeable, 3-man attack that he had at Wickham. You're going to need some players to do that, but so far so good on that front. Sometimes it is the partnerships, isn't it? You've got to find those. If you think, I'm trying to think of a person, a player that didn't necessarily score a lot of goals, but he played all the time for Liverpool and England back in the day. It was Emil Heskey, isn't it? It's because he partnered Michael Owen so very, very well in that, certainly in the Liverpool side. And sometimes that is just that partnership that allows one or the other to flourish. We're yet to be seen who that might be, but I think that is something to build on. You need to find those all over the park. And I think that now you sort of found them in that striking area. You found them in that attacking midfield area. Well, they're just a midfield 3, in fact. And when you've got the 2 wide men playing as they did there, instead of looking backwards and trying to defend, I think that's a recipe for more joy to come.
Let's hope so. Yeah, let's hope Saturday was the start of sort of a really enjoyable sort of 40 games, because it was enjoyable, and you only had to see Matt's face at the end when he came over to the fans. And, last week, many of them were like, Bloomfield who, and this week, Bloomfield was getting his song sung. He'd done the Jurgen Klopp fist pumping thing and all of that, and that's fully deserved. He held his nerve during a tough week. We sat on here and questioned some of his decisions. That substitution against Cardiff being in particular, we questioned whether people were asking us, is he Rob Edwards Mark II or no? Dropping his captain after a couple of poor performances tells me that he's got a bit more about him than that. And because that's a tough decision, right? You've brought him to the football club. You've signed him in the summer. You're not even a month down the line in the football season. And listen, is Cal Naismith and also ran at Luton? No, he's not. He just hasn't started the season as well as we know that Cal Naismith can play. And it was the right thing to do. Take him out of the firing line. Nigel Longwhite was absolutely fine at left centre half. There was a couple of times that he covered Mark McGuinness, and kind of shepherded the ball out after a ball went past McGuinness, and it was all absolutely fine. And then, of course, Naismith came on for the last, whatever it was, 10, 15 minutes, get himself a little bit more confidence. That's good management for me, and I'm not convinced it would have happened last season.
Yeah, well, I didn't think it would happen this game from the previous game, because we were talking about Naismith and his start, and I thought, well, because he's captain, he doesn't come out, and that's so often the case. Hey, I mean, Carlton Morris was captain, and last season, and it just didn't perform. He had an injury and stuff, but it was nowhere near the Carlton Morris that we had going into the Premier League, and he's already scored 3 for Derby.
4 now, isn't it?
Is it 4 now?
Scored again yesterday.
Fair play to Morris. I thought that
penalty yesterday, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of them in the Premier League were penalties, but they're still goals. They still count, don't they? I didn't think that I'd see that happen. It did. That shows being able to assess the previous game and where things went wrong. And just because he's the man with the armband, maybe he does have to come out, and that is what happened. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I think we're probably going to have to weather this. It might even be a season, we're going to have to weather this where, when results go well, everything's brilliant. And when they don't, there's pelters everywhere. I think that's natural from where we've been. So it's nice to be talking about a win. But I think there are going to be questions whenever there's, a defeat, because the expectation levels are still very, very high.
Yeah, there are. And yes, there will. I think if we see progress as the season goes along, though, listen, we're going to lose football matches. That's fine. We don't want to lose football matches. We don't want to sit here and talk about Luton lose football matches. But as I've said before, there are ways to lose football matches. And that when this club's lost football matches in the last 15 months, by and large, it's not been the right way to lose football matches. It's been collapsing at the back. It's been no energy, no intensity, no effort. No impetus in their play. And those kind of things, the things that as fans we take for granted as a non-negotiable, and and that will always get called out. But if there's effort, if there's an attempt to play, and we can see things that we're being told by Matt in press conferences or however else the communication is, we can see that playing out with our eyes, but we've been unfortunate, then that's fine. We're going to come up against a team who's too good for us every now and again. That's natural. We're playing against teams who will, and not yesterday, but who will raise their game, because we're Luton Town. We were in the Premier League 15 months ago. They watched some match of the day and always this, that and the other. That's absolutely fine. We might come up against one of those in the next game against Plymouth. They came down with us. There's every chance that they're going to be an okay side despite their poor start to the season. We'll cover that later in the month, and that's all fine as well. But again, you just want... Well, I said it, didn't I, in the preview podcast? I finished it with take the shackles off Town. There was no shackles yesterday, and that was good. And you saw a fluent Luton Town performance, and that's all we want. No shackles. Have a good go. If the other team's better than us, shit happens.
Yeah, and with room to improve probably still, which is a good bonus. And I think that was always going to be the case anyway. It's a congested August period. Every manager is complaining about the transfer window not closing until the 1st of September, which is fair enough, isn't it? You don't know your team. You don't know who's going to be there. You're going to have to sell on, or you're going to have to change. And that will be the case now. From the minute that game at Burton finished to 7 p.m. on Monday night, it's going to be frantic, I think. But there's a nucleus there of something that can go forward and give you hope that we can get the promotion and can get back to the Championship at the first time of asking.
That was another word, wasn't it? Hope. Give us hope. Giving us hope, and that's absolutely fine. Yeah, you're right. 7 p.m. for the transfer deadline. I think I said 9 p.m. in the last podcast that we did. Of course, 1900 hours isn't 9 o'clock, is it? It's 7 o'clock. One of these days I'll get my 24-hour clock done. Good afternoon for the town. As I said, tremendous performance, really, wasn't it? And well, it was a good afternoon for quite a lot of you who gave us the correct score prediction. I think I've got all of these. Some of you have posted predictions on previous review episodes. If you can do it on the preview episode, that'd make it so much more helpful. So I apologise if I've missed anyone. I've gone through and I think I've got them all. We've got Andy Weiss, KO 6957. defending champion of our score predictions, Claire Clark, has got her first correct score of the season. She got 3-0 as well. Mason McIntyre went 3-0. Paul CN3IJ also did it. Steve Foster 7628. Michael Shillingford 5221. Simon Kilsby 3445. Paul Rance 59. Burley 604. Carl Midgley 5742. And Greg Bastiani 4158. You all hit the correct score. You'll all get 3 points, and the leaderboard, which is up to date, will go on our screen right about now. And more importantly, Jimbo, 3-0 me, mate. Got some catching up to do. We're getting to the levels of this lead where I might have to offer you a wager.
The reverse psychology for the win worked, didn't it?
It did work.
It did work. I mean, it doesn't work for this particular scoreboard here because if I end up with 0-0 prior at the end of the season, so be it.
Yeah, indeed. Yep. We're going to slightly overrun with this podcast because what we're going to do is we are going to look ahead at, well, a few rumours that have done the rounds, quick chat about the Barnet game. We're not going to do full previews, probably not going to be an instant reaction on this one either. Maybe when we get into the knockout stages of that competition, assuming that we do, then we'll treat it a little bit more seriously. Matt's basically said all change at the office on Tuesday night. We're not going to be able to guess a team and all this, that and the other. But before we do, Jimbo, lots of people messaged us on social media and in our comments Thursday and Friday regarding the kit situation. So it's only fair that we offer our thoughts. I have to say, I can't say everything that you guys want me to. We are tied down to confidentiality thing, but obviously green didn't go down. Well, not so much the green didn't go down particularly well. I don't think too many people are against the green. It's the lack of a white shirt, isn't it? And yeah, that's fair enough, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think so. I think that anybody who's aggrieved that not having a white shirt is well within their rights to be. I mean, I think I'm not in all walks of life, not just football. I wouldn't necessarily call myself a traditionalist. I tend to go.
I'll back you up on that.
I tend to go against the grain and stuff, but I think Luton is synonymous with a white shirt, and whether you're vote white in terms of wanting the home shirt to be white or not, I think that somewhere along the lines you've got to have a white shirt, and I'm not a member of the trust. I'm not on the board, so I don't know this scenario, and so I think it's probably useful that you allow me to ask you some questions on it, because I think the focus was on the green shirt and it not being Luton colours, which it isn't, and that's fair enough. Whether you like that shirt or not, I don't think I'm the demographic to be talking about football shirts. I think that football shirts, as I've said on this podcast, were only good between the years of 1980 and 1991, and I'll have no other viewpoint on it whatsoever. So I'm not. It's not for me, but I'm not going to buy it. So I haven't bought a football shirt for nearly 20 years. Well, I haven't bought a contemporary football shirt for 20 years. So yeah, on that front, I don't know, but yeah, I think that there are people who are rightfully aggrieved that there's not a white shirt. Obviously, you've got one on for anyone who's watching the video version of this. You've got the change strip, the away strip of this blue one. Now, if that shirt had happened to be white, we're not having this conversation, are we? So, but it's blue, and obviously the home one came out first, the away one then came out, and then we had to wait until the Burton game for the third one. So, I mean, I'm not privy to any of the situations. So, my first question is, how does this get decided? Who is deciding on the kits? Because the trust has been credited with having a hand in it. How much of a hand? What are we talking here?
The kits they're all done via the club, but we have an input via Helen, as was stated in the club statement and the statement that we put out to our members. Helen's a graphic designer. She has an awful lot of Good stuff.
Been on this show as well.
Yeah,
so been on this show.
absolutely. Yeah, been on the show a couple of times. She's a graphic designer. She'll know more about design than you, I, and anyone else on the trust board ever will do. And the trust board backs her explicitly. We back her her knowledge and all of that. And I've got to say, Jimbo, since it all come out about the green kits, Helen's had an awful lot of personal abuse on her own social media channels. And whatever you think of the situation, and again, you're well within your rights to be disappointed with us. Helen is just a part of the trust board, and we all supported Helen, and it's on all of us. It's not on Helen. So personal abuse of Helen is bang out of order, to be quite honest with you. And we apologise, but as ever, as I always say, with people are more than fine to have their opinions, but it doesn't need to get personal, and it certainly doesn't need to get personal with Helen, who was just doing the role that we sent her to do.
Bang out of order to we're Team Helen here, basically. So if you've done that, have a word with yourself.
We trust her instincts where it comes to design and everything else. From a trust point of view, the trust only have a say on the colours, not the design. As a trust board, that is, we own with regards to the image rights, which is what a lot of people were critical of the trust of.
So how does that part of it work then? Because that is part of the trust's remit, having a stewardship over the crest and the colours. So green is not a Luton colour. How do you get to a green?
So in order for the club to use any different colours other than blue, white and orange, which are the three primary Luton colours, the club have to come to the trust board, and the trust board have to give them the okay. Now, this isn't the first time this has happened. A few years ago, I can't remember the exact season, they all kind of blend into one, but we had a purple kit and the same thing happened. Purple was in relation to Luton Council at the time. It's the Luton Council colours, and it was kind of a shirt that reflected the overall part of Luton. Again, the same thing happened. We didn't have this Ferrari because the away kit that season was white, and so the club have to get the okay from the trust board. So the club asked the trust board, can they use green for this season for a third kit? And they gave us the explanation as to why, which was portrayed in the statements that came out, that trees are going to be planted at Power Court, and it's to do with the sustainability route that the club are going down. And as part of the trust board, not only are we interested with the football club's future, which is obviously paramount, but we're a community asset as well, and that the trees down at Power Court are going to help the town and the community. So we saw nothing against that. Where we did get it wrong as a trust board, and we have got it wrong, right? We did get it wrong, and we've got to apologise for that. We've got to take that on the chin and re-earn your trust with regards to that. Where we did get it wrong was we didn't confirm that the away shirt was going to be white. We just assumed that was the case, because obviously we know that the home shirt's orange. Last season the away shirt was white. I think the season before then the away shirt was white as well. And we just assumed that because the club have come to us asking for another colour for the third kit, like when they did for the purple option, purple or pink, I can't remember the exact shade of it, but either way, it was a different colour. The away kit was white that season. I think we made the assumption it would be the case this time, rather than actually double checking that it was the case. And of course, had we have double checked that it was the case, then it will have been different. We will have said no, white has to be involved in a Luton kit somewhere along the line, rather than just the sleeves of the blue shirt. It has to be involved. So that's on us. We got that wrong. We have to take that on the chin, and everyone who's angry about that is right. What I will say is we've already had the guarantee. We've already sought the guarantee and got the guarantee that a white shirt will be in operation next season. So we'll be back to white next season. This is purely a one-off for this season, so that, for the goodwill and the benefits that come of this green shirt. It's a new partnership with Reflow, and just got to put our hands up, Jimbo, and say, look, we apologise that that's the situation. My own personal view, I mean, you gave your personal view. My own personal view, I don't think there should be a third kit for a football club. I think football fans pay more than enough as it is anyway, without a third kit. But that's by the by. There is a third kit, and that's how it's come about. So the club came to the trust board asking if it could be green. The trust board then vote on it. More yeses than no's. So then we went back to the club and said, yes, you can have green for this season. But what we didn't do at the time was clarify that white was going to be the away shirt, which is what we should have done.
So have I got this right, that you only were asked to vote on the green third shirt? You didn't vote on the home shirt, or you weren't asked about the home shirt, you weren't asked about the away shirt?
No, if the colours are within the image rights, then we don't need to vote on that.
So do you ever get asked about the first shirt and the second shirt?
Not in terms of the colours, no.
So that
obviously there's a vote that was done when 2020 come into existence. Again, can't remember the exact year, but they did a vote, didn't they, among supporters? Would you like the home shirt to be orange or white? Orange won, so orange is the home colours. That's kind of set in stone, really, that orange is the home colour. Generally, by and large, white has always been the away colour, the predominant away colour, and then it's had a shade of whatever else. Like last season, it had the black stripe down it, didn't it? And things like that. But this season, as you can see, I'm wearing the away shirt and it's blue, not white, and that's where we fell down, where we fell short. We didn't clarify that the away shirt was going to be white.
So the home shirt and the away shirt, the trust never really have a vote on it,
unless for any reason they want an away shirt in a different colour. But if the colours, if the shirts fall within the colours of the image rights, then no, we don't vote on that. We only vote because the club have to get the agreement with us for different colours from the ones that were within the image rights that the club gave to us. And that's the only time that we'll hold a vote.
And different colours have existed before in change strips as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, haven't it? Yeah. Well known that there was a red one in the 80s and a yellow one.
Yeah, I can guarantee that the yellow wouldn't have got the agreement. Obviously, the green came with the caveat of the trees at Power Court and the goodwill and everything else that goes with that. That was the decision of the trust board, that we said yes, because it wasn't just about the football team; it was also about the community, about our new grounds at Power Court. And I mean, if we keep scoring goals in this shirt, Jimbo, there ain't going to be room for a stadium with all the trees down there, is there?
Well, yeah, it'd be a very eco-friendly kit. I must admit, when I first heard about it, I was dubious about the timing of it, I guess, because obviously we all live in the here and now, don't we? We've had 2 horrible seasons. The Premier League was pretty enjoyable, but ultimately the end result was horrible. Last season was absolutely disastrous, and it felt to me like, before I knew anything about it, why have you just done that? You know, the feeling among the fan base on a whole wide range of issues at the moment is fairly fractious, and then this on top doesn't help. So when I presume this has to be done well in advance, but when?
Yeah, I mean, it's all down to sort of kit manufacturers and everything else. I mean, this particular vote happened late September, early October. So, you know, it's a sick.
So we were still thinking then we might have a shot of, or we were hoping we might have a shot of going back to the Premier League.
Absolutely. And then the messages that comes about the sustainability and the trees and everything else is a good thing. It puts the Premier League a little bit to shade, doesn't it? Like we did with a couple of things when we were in the Premier League, you know, and that was very much, that's very much the forefront of it. You know, this vote, I can't, the exact date again, I can't go into all the full details, but Rob Edwards was definitely still Luton manager when it took place. It didn't happen Wednesday night and then a shirt appeared on Thursday or anything like that. It was, you know, it was done months ago. And as I say, we still don't have a problem with the green kit. We're still fine with the green shirt and everything that goes with it, the trees and the everything else. If we had our time again and they ask us again, then we would clarify that what is the away shirt? Is the away shirt white? If the away shirt's white, then, you know, everything's fine. What I should say on the third kits as well, Jimbo, the club have often gone out of the norm with the third kits recently. So we've had the third kit, the Legends kit, with all the names of people that donated their season ticket money during COVID, went on a third kit.
Yeah.
I think the Premier League third kit had the shades of Kenilworth Road in the pink on the blue background. We didn't have to okay that because obviously the blue's part of the image rights colours. So they do try things with the third kit. And
I think most clubs do with that. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that
Yeah.
aspect of it. That is,
yeah.
It's kind of
I should just say them asking us for permission to do different things with regards to the third kit. It's not this isn't a one-off. That has happened in the past, but again, I reiterate, we've had the white second shirt that season, and because of that, we took it on the assumption, which we shouldn't have done now. And I'm sitting in front of this camera admitting that we got that wrong. And, already we've clarified that next season we're going back to white. So we haven't forgotten our history or anything like that. We just got it wrong. And ultimately we apologise.
I mean, yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, there are still going to be people that are entitled to be angry about it. And I think that's fair, and it's right that they are allowed to be, because, like I say, I think that Luton should always have a white shirt. The other aspect of it for me, I suppose, on top of like the timing, where before I knew about, well, you just told me when it was, but at the initial point, you're thinking this doesn't feel like the best decision given where we are at the moment in terms of people's emotions around a wide range of things. It's very noble that the sustainability aspect of it is there, and they're trying to be at the forefront of those things. But I think my assumption, I don't know, you tell me out there, would be that people couldn't care less about that at the moment, because you're not in the division you want to be, or you're not playing as well as you want to be. You haven't got the players you might necessarily want, all of those things to do with on the pitch. And I think in isolation, that's a good thing, sustainability. I think it's more, for me, I think it's more just ordinary fashion, whereas, you change your clothes all the time. I'm not sure I know anybody that's bought a football shirt for themselves that then wants to recycle it or chuck it away. So that sort of thing is like by the by. But I think if you're saying that it happened in September last year, when none of what we now know has happened on the pitch, then that feels like just one of the next step in the sort of progressive nature of what they're trying to do. But I'm just saying that because that's what I thought. That doesn't mean anything to me at the moment. I want them to win football matches.
You and me both, Jimbo. I mean, again, my personal view is I don't care if they wear Mr. Blobby suits, as long as they put more balls in the back of the opposition's net than the opposition do in us. Again, I completely understand the people that are frustrated that there's no white shirt this season. I get it. And I am an 80s child. I grew up watching Luton Town in a white home shirt. I completely get it. I didn't vote white for home. I voted orange because of the new identity that it's given us, and I think it has benefited us wearing orange at home. But again, I completely get it. And, just apologise once again. But as I say, I stress, we have already sought a commitment and got that commitment that there's a white shirt in circulation next season. And going forward in future seasons, we will always make sure that there is a white shirt, or at least double check that the colours are white before we make any decisions on any other colours. And hopefully you get some enjoyment out of watching the town in green and knowing that each time the ball goes in the back of the net, it's benefiting the landscape down at Power Court. And, realistically, what are we going to wear it 4, 5, 6 times? I don't know the exact number, but hopefully when we do wear it, we score lots of goals.
The way that the travelling fans at Burton reacted to it and made a joke of it, I think that whether that is, meant with pure banter in mind or a little bit of malice, I don't know. But sometimes that can have a positive bounce on effect and everybody gets on board with the joke. You tell me if you were there, how did you view it? How did you sing it if you were in? But, if that kit can be blessed, whereas the bloody stripe from the last 2 seasons has been absolutely cursed, not only in that, but in the previous iteration back in the conference as well. If we can have a blessed shirt, then then I'm all for that. But yeah, ultimately, I think most people would want victories and success over that, and the only way to change that is victories.
Yep. Yeah, timings went against it, but you know, that's where we're at. Anything I'll say on this kit, enough made me want an aero mint. An identical colour, isn't it? It warmed on me the longer the afternoon went on, I must say. And if we were going to play like that and win games like that, then let's hope we wear it a few more times. We're just going to quickly finish the podcast off. We know we're overrunning, but this is the only podcast we're going to do this week. We're not doing any previews or anything. Lots of rumours, Jimbo. We're about 24 hours out as we record this. From the transfer window slamming shut, doesn't it? Sky never closes it. It's got to slam shut. Matt's alluded to the fact he's confident of ins and outs. He did that in the pre-match press conference. He's done it in the post-match press conference. Lots of rumours have come about since that post-match press conference. Let's go through them all. First one, Shayden Morris of Aberdeen. High six-figure fee agreed, according to Anthony Joseph, Sky Sports News journalist. He was left out of their Europa League qualifier on Thursday. That's not your average game of football that you can leave one of your star assets out of. That's a big game for Aberdeen. So we can take from that he's leaving. Can't yet take from that he's joining Luton Town, but Sky Sports News journalist seems to think that he is a right winger. Played a lot last season, lots of substitute appearances, but that's fine. That's Aberdeen riding high in the Scottish Premier League. From London, though, obviously would be coming back nearer home, a little bit like Izzy Jones from London, come back down south from Middlesbrough. Right winger. Kev likes this because it means that hopefully we're transitioning into this 4-3-3. You kind of get the feeling of all the rumours that have done the rounds, that's the one that's got a lot more merit to it because pretty much a done deal that he's leaving Aberdeen.
That one feels like a strong one, doesn't it? And Matt said after, usually he doesn't want to talk about the players, and that was still the case with this, but he said he likes the player. So people that can read into the tea leaves of football transfers and cryptic stuff, then that suggests to me that there's something there, and they were linked obviously earlier in the summer with this particular player, so it's no surprise to me, and I hope that if it happens that it does bode well for what we're all thinking about the transformation of the formation.
Indeed, yep. There's going to be outs. I think it's pretty much obvious that there's going to be more outs. You only have to look at the bench yesterday to probably see where most of these outs are. One man who wasn't on the bench yesterday was Lamine Fana, and Rudy Galletti from Team Talk. Cremonese, new to Serie A, are interested in him. I believe that's the club that Jamie Vardy's about to sign for as well. So they're obviously going big. Wasn't on the bench yesterday. Wasn't on the bench last Saturday, I don't think. Kind of think that we might have seen the last of Lamine.
Yeah, and Matt said he's open to that being a possibility. I think that the emergence of that rumour happened earlier in the transfer window. I'm not sure it was Cremonese, but he was linked with 3 other clubs, wasn't he? Or Coventry was one of them, wasn't it? And then that's come back around. I think, yeah, it'd be a bittersweet one, that one. I think in the similar mould of Asgard, because he's come in, not played as much as Asgard really, and there's obviously potential there, but we haven't really seen the full extent of it. And when he scores those 2 goals in the first pre-season against Bournemouth, and you start to think that now we might see the best of him, then but we haven't. I think that it will be something that you probably couldn't turn down. Serie A is still a massive league, and if you get a shot to go and play in that, you'd probably want to do that more so than playing in the 3rd division of English football. That's not to say that I don't think that he wanted to stay here. I mean, for fans of cryptic stuff, again, pictured doing lots of videos of summer workouts wearing Luton clobber, wasn't he? When he probably didn't have to. So, the thing with that one for me is that unless they've got midfielders lined up, and obviously we probably mention one in a minute, but Baptiste is out for the season. and to lose Fanner, that means then you've got to look for two potential. Although we talked up Zack Nelson in this podcast, so I still think you need the backup there, given Luton's injury record.
Yeah, he's too good for League One. I think that is fair to say. Do you know what? I'd love to see him in one of them 8 roles. I mean, Saville behind Nelson and Fanny. I mean, that's a midfield that, yeah, I'd get excited about. Tom Holmes wasn't on the bench yesterday either. News broke on Sunday morning from Football League World that Rotherham have made a loan bid for him. Rotherham have been and taken one of our players on loan last season. It wouldn't be a complete surprise. Holmes has been in League One before with Reading, probably his level. He needs snookers to get into our starting lineup at the minute with the amount of centre backs that we've got. Keeping him would probably hold the progression of Christian Chigozie back a little bit. This is another one that feels about right. I'm assuming it's a loan until the end of the season, by which time I think he's out of contract because he signed during the Premier League season. And then it'll be thanks for everything and toodle pip.
Yeah, exactly that. The wealth of defensive options at the moment are such that Carlton Naismith gets dropped at the weekend, doesn't he? And I think that he was going to be at the bottom of the pecking order in the centre-back stakes anyway. And then, the one outing that he did come back on, I don't think he particularly had a very good game. So that would strike me as an obvious one.
Albeit it was against Coventry, wasn't it? He doesn't play very well against Coventry, Tom Holmes. So at least at Rotherham, he's not going to come up against them. Sticking with Football League World, they were also reporting that we've made a bid for Adam Phillips of Barnsley. Whenever I see Luton linked with a bid for Barnsley,
it's been a long time.
I always think, there's something in this because, well, Barnsley are Barnsley, and they basically fueled our way to the Premier League, didn't they? Barnsley signings. It would make sense. And then I looked into it. And he's a midfielder who scores a lot of goals and he gets a lot of assists. And that's exactly what Matt's been saying, that he wants a creative midfielder. I'll put words into his mouth. I don't think he said it specifically, but a replacement for Tello Asgard. This guy seems to be it. Double figures for goal contributions for the last 3 seasons in a decent Barnsley side. Yeah, I can see this happening, not just because he plays for Barnsley.
Yeah, I can see it happening, albeit that, arguably Zack Nelson is the replacement for Tello Asgard. So if he comes in and, makes it more difficult for Nelson, that will be a tricky situation. But he is a 27-year-old. He'd be in his peak in terms of footballing age at that stage, and he knows that division, and his stats are pretty useful in that position. If you're looking for somebody to, fill the Tello Asgard role, I think we're looking at more what he did for Wigan, really, than what he did for Luton, really. But
it was a numbers comparison rather than a player comparison, really.
Yeah. But it's been a long time since we've been linked with anyone from Barnsley, so I'm not surprised. Till
we dropped into this division and I knew we were playing them, I thought they'd gone into hard times or something, because we haven't been linked with a Barnsley player for yonks, have we? But it's not just Barnsley. Football Deck News has reported on Sunday afternoon that we have had a bid rejected in excess of £1 million for Rob Street of Lincoln, James Collins' current strike partner. He was on loan at Doncaster last season, huge part in them winning League Two, scored double figures for goals, striker. I think he's got a bit of height about him from what I understand. So he would be you mentioned earlier about a rotating front three. He would be your Lassie Nordas rotation were he to come. I'd heard this rumour a little bit earlier in the summer from somewhere, and I can't remember the source of it, but it's come about again with a fee this time. So, but bid rejected. They obviously don't want to sell him, or they don't want to sell him for that price, or they need to get a replacement, or whatever the situation is. But there's an intent to go and sign a striker by the looks of it.
Yeah, I think there needs to be, doesn't there, just to have the options. And they've been looking all summer, obviously, presumably, but it's only at the weekend where potentially we found a partnership that might work. But that doesn't mean you don't need to try and strengthen to have those options coming off the bench or to switch it up. And it's a very long season as well, so form, injuries, all that stuff. I think it's almost essential that they try and get another striker, and that's been ongoing throughout the season. You've been linked with Al Hamadi. I can't see that one happening any longer. That one seems to have gone cold, but who knows? I think that obviously the Stockport, not the
Low,
Stockport,
yeah,
yeah,
Nathan Low.
Stockport chap. So as well, there's another one. So those are the ones where I think that we were expecting they'd look for reinforcements. I still think light on the, hopefully eventually full-back positions. That's where I think most people would like to see some backup.
Yep. Well, certainly back up for Cohen Bramwell if he becomes the starter down that side, whether it's a left back in a 4 or wing back in a 5, you would think would be required. None of these rumours are loans, are they? I wouldn't be surprised if we hit the loan market. We did with Josh Bowler on the last day of January. Wouldn't be a complete surprise if we hit the loan market here. Fancy a Tesco meal deal tomorrow, Jimbo?
When don't I fancy a Tesco meal deal?
Well, you might get more than you bargained
Bloody
for.
expensive now, aren't they?
They are gone up,
Come on,
haven't
mate.
they? I mean, come on, you haven't put anything in it up, so what's the price gone up for? But you might get more than you bargained for if you go and buy a Tesco meal deal, especially certain Tesco near the airport. Maybe I don't know, but obviously I jest because that's how Tello Asgard came about last season, isn't it? A few other players that we haven't had reports or rumours or anything, but I think we can safely say we are going to have seen the last of in a Luton shirt. Marvellous Nakamba has played 45 minutes of pre-season. We're still not seeing any progression that he's close to our first team. He's now been called up for Zimbabwe's international squad, which suggests to me that he's available to play football. I don't think Marvellous Nakamba's a Luton player on Tuesday morning, do you?
No, I can't see it. Particularly, we've even mentioned this podcast that you found the almost ideal replacement for this division in Saville to play that Nakamba role. It's just, I think that makes ultimate sense to everybody. He's not been the same player since that knee injury. He's not been able to train regularly, like every day, throughout that, and only having 45 minutes in an under-21 game. I don't know how he's got picked for the national side off the back of that, but they must be, short of bodies. But same as Tahith Chong one as well. He hadn't played all summer, and he gets picked by Curacao. So odd one, but I don't think that'll be Luton's concern after tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't mean to be unkind to the Curacao national team, but I don't think you need to be playing football regularly to get a gig for them. Certainly if you've got Tahith Chong's talent. Corley Woodrow disappeared from the bench yesterday as well. I've got a couple of friends who support Leyton Orient who've told me that they're interested, or they've heard that they're interested in him. No concrete evidence of that. But he went out on loan at the end of last season. He's not in this side. He can't get into this side. We don't play a formation that suits him in this side. Therefore, it makes perfect sense. Given that we've just mentioned 3 players potentially coming in, we need to get people off of this full squad. It makes sense for him to leave.
It does, and it's probably been on the cards for a long time. I have to feel ultimately sorry for Corley Woodrow because he got signed in the summer as Nathan Jones at the time, and he called him a marquee signing. And then a couple of weeks later,
He
signed Carlton Morris, who obviously superseded him in that front. I don't subscribe to the amount of stick that he often gets, Woodrow. I think he's a very good technical player, but they've not been a side that have required one of those in his position that he likes to play. So it's been unfortunate for him. He would have, when that move was made by Nathan Jones back in the summer, I'm sure his eyes lit up because he grew up here, and he came through the academy ranks. So it made almost sense then to come along, and like you just said about Josh Bowler and the loan market, they bought him, eyeing up one way to play, and within one match, he was surplus to requirements, so sat on the bench. So that's the cruelty of football sometimes, isn't it? But yeah, I think that I think it makes sense for Corley Woodrow to go and play some games. Is he 30 now? Yeah, it's just one of those that hasn't worked out.
Nope, hasn't. And literally, Jimbo, whilst we've been recording the first part of this podcast, news has broken that Pete O'Rourke, respected journalist, has, he understands that Luton have agreed a deal to sign highly rated Cheltenham Town winger Ethan Archer, and we're ready to loan him back to the League Two club. Wingers. Oh, I like the sound of this, Jimbo. I like the sound of this a lot.
Well, yeah, by the sounds of that though, you're gonna see him for a shirt signing, and off he goes again though. So yeah, I don't know too much about that one because it's just come through and it's a new one. You might get a lot of this, I think, maybe. I suspect from the minute we put these mics down until 7 p.m. on Monday night, it's going to be quite the frantic situation.
Indeed, yeah. I brought that one up because Pete O'Rourke's pretty respected and he seems to know most of our transfer dealings ins and outs. And that was one that broke on his Twitter feed literally as we're recording. So that's a one to watch over the course of Monday, although judging by the sound of it, like you quite rightly say, not one to watch over the course of the season. But all bodes well. Wingers are coming by the sounds of it.
Well, it just shows that they're doing a lot of work. Really, is what people want to see. Particularly if we're expecting, Nakamba to go out and Woodrow, maybe even Fanner, and nobody's even talked about Mengi at the moment. So we'll see on that one. But that's what people want to see. I think ultimately they've done quite a lot of business, and a lot of it's been quite good for the level. So we'll assess it. We'll talk about it on the next podcast,
which will be out to you next Monday, and we'll also have a few words on the Barnet game, which takes place on Tuesday night. What are you expecting to see on Tuesday night? It's obviously the start of a 3-game group phase in the trophy. Cambridge away in October, and then Brighton's under-21s come to Kenilworth Road. I think it's the following month to that. Top 2 in the group go through. Obviously, if you win the group, you get a home game in the first round of the knockout stage. So there's an emphasis on winning the group if you want to take it seriously, and we should take it seriously. It's still a trophy at the end of the day. There is a day at Wembley at the end of the day, and also we're a club that lost an awful lot of football matches, and if you want to win in mentality, you've got to try and win every game of football that you play in. I'm expecting to see Christian Chigozie. He was on the bench on Saturday, so it would be a surprise if he's not in the heart of the defence on Tuesday, and that'll be very much positive. I still think you've got this rule in operation where you have to play 5 or 6 players from the game before, which may have been a reason why Bramall came on and Naismith came on, because there wasn't any real reason to bring Naismith or Bramall on at 3-0, was there? So I'm guessing they came on because they're going to play on Tuesday night. That would make sense to me. You're obviously going to have James Shea in goal. Not going to risk Josh Keeley in this competition. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the 11 is. Clearly, there's no Saville. He's on international duty. There's no Nicky Wells. He's also on international duty.
He's got a fantastic bit of international duty, isn't he? Going away with Bermuda. Yes, please.
Absolutely. Yeah, indeed. So maybe we may see one of Nordas or Yates again. Wouldn't know who would partner him, to be honest. Hey, if these players that we think are going to come into the building early enough, maybe they get into the 11 just to be seen, sort of thing. But yeah, I'm expecting it. Well, Matt alluded to the fact it's going to be much change. We're going to see Bramall, aren't we? We're probably going to see someone like Longwake. I would imagine he's not fully established in the first 11. Don't quite know what the Mads Anderson situation is. Maybe it's time to give him 45 if he's fit for that game. It was touch and go, wasn't it, over the last couple of games? You're going to get Liam Walsh back in the heart of midfield, I would imagine. I'm just thinking back to the Coventry side, really. I mean, obviously, Lamine Fan has started that night. If he's not here, he won't start this one. It'll be interesting to see how many academy products play, though. Obviously, Josh Phillips gone to Torquay, so he won't play. He came on at, I think Jake Richards will be another one that we're going to see on Tuesday night. If you think back to the Bournemouth friendly, we're kind of in those realms, really, aren't we?
Yeah, I think all along that as many as you can play in this competition, you should. Academy products, I think that they are looking really good, and they have done for quite a while. They've obviously brought some players in, and they've won titles in the age ranks as well. So I think that I'd like to see them given a go, because it's just an ideal breeding ground to see if they are capable and have the ability to step up. I mean, a couple of them have gone out on loan now, though, haven't they? So Tate Xavier Jones went out, didn't he? He played at the weekend, didn't he? So
confident lad, him, isn't he?
Yeah, did. Yeah. So there's some of those that obviously you won't see, but there's plenty of talent in the youth ranks to give them a chance.
Yep, should be an enjoyable watch. If you've not got a ticket to the game, I do think tickets are still available. Check that on the website. It's only a £5 for adults to get in, £1 for kids. But if you haven't got a ticket to it, Sky Sports Plus have all of the Virtue Trophy games this season, so you can watch it on television if you need to. But yeah, if you can get down and support the boys, then please do. It's going to be a youthful 11, we think, or certainly there'll be elements of the academy in the 18. So yeah, give them your support. Only the main stand and main enclosure open on Tuesday night. That's fine. Barnet, team on the up, come up from the conference, started okay in League Two. Probably going to come here and have a bit of a go. It should be a decent game of football. A game of football with no pressure on it, like the league games have had plenty of. Nice night to go down there and just relax and watch a game of football.
I'm not that interested in the competition other than being able to give younger players a shot. I think obviously we've got bigger fish to fry in this comp. We're out of the League Cup, and the FA Cup would be nice to go on a run because I'm just fond of that competition. But ultimately, they're just bonuses, really.
I'll remind you of that when we're walking up Wembley Way in April, Jimbo, and getting ready for the final of the Virtue Trophy. Listen, Birmingham won the league and got to the final of that. It doesn't have to be one or two.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to pass up a chance of Wembley. We're very fortunate. We've had some very good days at Wembley. Some teams never do, and I'd like to add to that, obviously, but I think that there's only one thing that we need to do in this season, and it's not that.
That's pretty much it for this episode of the podcast. Thanks for bearing with us right to the end. We know we've overrun what we normally would do. As I said, lots have gone on this week. Obviously, wanted to clarify the kit situation and everything else. And it's the only podcast that we're going to do this week. We'll be back next Monday to look back on transfer deadline day, to have a reflection on Barnet, who impressed, who didn't impress. And then later in the week, you will look ahead to that tasty-looking game at home to Plymouth Argyle. So that's the agenda for the next week or so. Enjoy transfer deadline day. Don't press the F5 button on your keyboard too much and break it. But I'm sure there'll be lots of ins, lots of outs, and everything else. And, well, yeah, that Tesco's is going to be a popular spot, isn't it? That's for sure. Thanks for watching or listening, however it is that you've consumed this podcast. Thanks again to all the folks at Marsh House, the proud new home of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast, and to Sean Grant and the Wolfgang for our intro music as always. Until next time, where we'll reflect on what we hope will be quite a revolving door on Monday. From Jimbo and myself, Tree Army,